now.
All right.
Hello, and welcome back to BricsCAD Unplugged. Today it's just Vince and I, and Don and Heidi are taking some time off. They're both actually not feeling that well. We think they got the flu, and hopefully they'll be all prepped and ready for next week's show. But Vince, say hello and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Vince Amon. I'm with sales and team here at BricsCAD. A little bit of technical, but hey, what I wanted to mention though is that they're under Don and Heidi under the weather. Speaking of the weather, I wanted to mention Florida. They're getting hit with a hurricane. We have friends in Florida, hoping everyone's safe. And I do want to do a shout out to our friends at Chasm Tech. They're down in the Tampa area. I don't think they're getting directly hit. I think the hurricane's hitting Panama City, so I think they're okay. But for those people in that area, hopefully you'll be safe.
Yeah, just a note on that. My future brother-in-law actually has a house. He lives right there in the Panhandle. And everything. But he's actually in the military, so he's not there right now. But he had some people go over his house yesterday and board everything up for him and everything.
Yeah, so hopefully our friends are safe down there.
Yeah. And once again, I'm Matt. I'm in the Educational Learning Department at BricsCAD. And today's topic today, since it's just Vince and I, we're going to be a little technical today. So we're going to show off the product. And basically what we're going to show is how to customize the user interface for 2D drafting and for 3D modeling, okay? And so that's what we're going to start off with and hit some things that we feel like are like really cool features also inside of the product that you need to take advantage of or take a look at least. So with that, Vince, I'm going to start off, okay? And let me share my desktop here. I'm going to actually move this screen over here, and I'm going to share my second monitor. Whoops, I'm not sharing my second monitor. Let me share my second.
Flashed for a second.
Yeah.
Right.
There we go. Whoop, it still didn't come up. Hold on here. One more time. Screen share, second monitor. There we go. No, still not. Yeah, I know. Everybody's seen our. Yeah.
It was there.
Let me try something like this. Hold on, Vince. Why is it doing that? Screen share. And if I do it like that. It's still not. Hold on. Let me.
It said you were sharing.
Huh?
It said you were sharing. It was.
It's not. You know.
So you can tell we're live. This isn't recorded.
We're definitely live, folks. Let me see. Nope. It's not liking my second monitor. So I'm going to do this, Vince. I'm just going to move everything onto my other screen. And let's just give it a try like this. Boom, 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 boom. This is like.
It was flashing.
You never want to escape. Yeah. It's still doing it. Oh,
I can see.
You can see stuff. Okay. Well.
Yeah, go ahead.
This. I'm just going to start up the product.
Pay no attention to his icons.
And, you know, of course, everything showed up on the other monitor. There we go.
Yay.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it's a party foul of mine not pressing the right button for Facebook Live. But basically, folks, once you start up the product, this is what you get. This is the default user interface, okay, with the product. Number one thing I recommend doing is customizing it to the way you like to work. Okay, and as you could see, the white background, it does not work for me. So what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to go into the settings dialog box, and I'm just going to type in a little shortcut called BK for background color, and I'm going to change it to black because that's what I prefer. Now there, I'm a lot more happier looking at that black background than versus what the white. The next thing, Vince, you know, I highly recommend doing this, and I'm pretty sure you tell a lot of the people what you talk to on the customers online, is open up some of your current DWG files. I'm going to open up 9 that I have here. And one thing with BricsCAD, the speed and performance is amazing, but then also too, it's all DWG. DWG for 2018 drawing files. So your files are great and they all come up with no problem. As you can see here, I got a variety of different, drawing files from a 3D, sheet metal part here to a hospital floor plan and a couple other different floor plans and elevation, apartment view, and this nice lobby drawing that I like a lot. So once you get here and you get to this part and you open up some of your DWG files, I recommend now to go into customizing this. And what I recommend is there's 5 default workspaces. And I recommend creating one or just copy one of these that you have. So I'm going to take that 2D drafting one and I'm just going to go and say workspaces on the command line. And then I'm going to save it, give it a new name. I'm just going to call it Matt. Okay, and now you can see up here for workspaces, I have the new workspace called Matt. Now, once you do that and you create a new workspace, start customizing this the way you like to work. And the first thing I'm going to do are these toolbars. I don't care for the toolbars, or I do care for some of them, but not all of them like all they are here. And so I'm going to say all and just hide them. Simple and easy. Next thing, I'm a ribbon person. I like the ribbon. So once again, on the command line, you could just type in ribbon. There it is, and boom, just hit enter and pops up, okay? With the ribbon, as you can see, you have all the different little tabs up here that you can hit. But I'm noticing some things I still want to customize is basically I'm going to turn off, well, let's turn off the command line on the bottom. I don't really care for the command line being up all the time. And the properties panel over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to turn that off. And then at the very top, the menu bar, I'm going to turn that off. Okay. So now I'm at the user interface that I'm used to, that I like to do when I'm working, full-time on my, inside of BricsCAD. There is one thing I want to bring up are toolbars. I do have a favorite toolbar, and with BricsCAD, there's tons and tons of pre-built toolbars that you could use. And the one I do like is the draw one. And as you can see, it just docked it over here on the far right for me so I could take advantage of that. So within, I don't know, what was that, Vince, a couple of minutes, I customized the user interface to the way I like to work. And yes, there's more things you could do, and Vince is going to show you how he has his set up. And also too, I'm going to show you another way to set up your user interface here in a few minutes though. But Vince, do you have any comments on some of that?
No, I mean, it's pretty easy to set up. I mean, I think for a lot of folks, they set up their interface for how they're working. And, the way I do it, oftentimes if I'm goofing around with doing some 3D models or other things, I have a different workspace than I do if I'm doing 2D drawing editing.
Yeah, so you take advantage of, for all your clients, let you guys know Vince has a lot of clients, new ones and old ones, that he's done a lot of list routines for and different stuff. So he sets up a workspace customizing for their needs and works on their projects for them, which is a good.
And oftentimes even within a company, they may have different divisions, and so it's always good to get your tools laid out for the most efficient way of doing things. So. Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, why don't you show me your user interface and show me what you've been working on here lately?
Well, we were talking about this the other day, and as a hobby, I do these 3D printing. I do a lot of different models and stuff. So I had an issue where I needed to extend a fence post, and the fence post was cemented in the ground, so I couldn't just replace it. So I wanted to put a cap on top, and they don't make one that would really. I don't want to saw the top of this fence post off. As you can see, it's kind of got a pyramid shape. And so what I did is I 3D designed in BricsCAD a fence post cap that I could connect this to fence posts. So the reason I bring this up is the other day I got a call from a customer. I was talking to him, and he was talking about how he has to rotate his user coordinate system, and he wanted some training or some tools for doing that. Or he says, how do we do that in BricsCAD? And what I explained to him is we have something called the dynamic UCS, which I think is really cool. So if I go into, create a circle and I come across this surface, you'll notice that my UCS actually changes based on that surface that I'm hovering over the
Yeah.
top of,
Yeah.
which is really cool. So you
That
notice I
is.
didn't have to change my user coordinate system. I just go over the top, and you can turn that on and off. If you look down on the bottom of the screen here, that's called DUCS. It's a simple toggle, which is really cool. It's down here. So a lot of
Yeah.
the other tips and things that we show are down here in terms of turning them off and on. And I thought that was kind of cool. It's something to show.
Yeah. Well, so your user interface for the tools that you have up, obviously you don't care for the ribbon, but you care for using more toolbars.
Yeah, in fact, shout out to Don. He was picking on me the other day because he says, "Why are you using this old interface?" And so I thought of a really cool analogy, and that is in my workshop, I've got pegboard up, and I've got all the my tools hanging up on the wall. I can walk up and grab the tool. Versus if I have a drawer and I throw everything in the drawer, I wind up opening the drawer. You're digging around trying to find that tool. I'd rather have it up on the pegboard. So for me, the preference is to have all my tools laid out because I can grab my editing tools. Like you put up the draw tool, or if I want to jump over to Orbit, it's right here. I can just grab it. It's really easy to get to. I just like, and maybe it's because I'm an old guy that started back in the 80s when we used to have that thing called the digitizer tablet. If you remember those, all your commands were in one place. So I just kind of like having all my tools laid out. And the other thing I do is oftentimes I'll create my own toolbar. Let me give you an example of something here. I have my own toolbar where if I'm doing some 3D modeling and I want to do, for instance, like a fillet, I've just customized these little tools. So if I pick on this fillet command, it's just a macro. And so I can highlight this area, do a chain, and simply fill it. But what it did, if you notice, I have a little, I have a little tool tip there, toolbar. I've got a F1 and F2. So I've got a 1 millimeter fillet or a 2 millimeter fillet, and I can just grab those and I don't have to type anything. It's just a macro that gets me to the place that I want to be in terms of, when I'm doing different modeling. And speaking of that, I did want to show this. This is a cover I designed. And in a previous life, when I was doing
what? It's a cover. What do you get this cover?
Well, this is a cover for like a transmitter. I couldn't fit the battery in the back of my transmitter because the new batteries are bigger. So I designed my own cover so I could fit the battery in. It's just me doing those kinds of silly things. But here's a pretty cool example. This area, if you notice, I was able to do some complex filleting around this as I drew this model.
Yeah.
And what's really cool, and for those of you that have done modeling with, we'll call it other CAD, you'll notice when you try to do things like this and put these fillets in these areas, oftentimes you get the, not allowed, or things don't really work so well.
Or fails.
Failure to fillet often happens. Now, this is taking a little while, but I tell you, my experience in BricsCAD has been, just some of the 3D modeling stuff I'm doing. I'm able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. And this is taking longer than normal, but I'm fairly certain it'll come up and show you the result. There you go. So, if you really look at what that did, that's a pretty,
very complex. It's like
it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've really enjoyed, being able to do these things and not have to, worry about things blowing up or doing that. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and you asked me about the interface, and I like toolbars. Something that is often used are your object snaps. I don't know if you notice this, but the little blue boxes up here highlight the object snaps that are currently turned on. So it's kind of really cool for me to look up and go, yeah, I'm using endpoint, midpoints, or you notice I don't have, if I just want to turn on my snapping to quadrants, it's just simply toggling those on and off right there for object snaps, which I use all the time. And so just having that in the interface to me really works well.
Yeah, for me with my object snaps, I always like to preset them so I know that they're always on, and if I need a different one, I feel like I struggle sometimes to go and find it or turn it off.
And that's where this was one of my favorite toolbars because it shows you, it highlights what's currently on. So pretty cool stuff.
I like it. Well, cool. Well, hey, the next thing is I want to show the audience something that is just a great tool that I always say, imagine having the entire commands, every single command inside of BricsCAD on your mouse, the tip of your mouse, basically. And that's called the quad cursor. So I'm going to share screen again. Let me make sure it works now. Okay, my main screen. Vince, can you see my desktop again?
Yeah, it worked that time.
Woohoo, woohoo, okay. Okay, so you guys, the quad cursor. When you start up BricsCAD, it's defaulted on, and to me, leave it on and give it a try. And some of the things that, let me get this highlighted. Here it is, the quad cursor. As you know, I'm just hovered the crosshairs of my mouse over this line, and it's telling me, give me this feedback that it is a line, and then gives me some tooltips here, you know, what layer it's on, the length of it, and so forth. But if I hover then more onto over to the quad, it tells me the last commands that I actually used on a line, such as like match properties, and this is a, you know, length and then this one is break. But then below the quad, you get these other categories, which is under edit. Everything I could do for editing a line, modifying a line, drawing a line, selecting. So those are really neat functionalities, taking advantage of the quad. But my main thing is, let's just show how the quad works. So it's like, I'm hovering over this line, I'm just gonna select add a dimension, and boom, there, I just added a dimension, super fast and easy. If I come over, let's pan over here a little, like this men's restroom and women's restroom, like I need some more toilets up here. So fast and easy with the quad, I could just hover right over the toilet here, this block reference, and I'm just gonna do basically a copy, multiple copies, and just select the insertion point and boom, and then just stick that in there. Simple and easy using the quad. Let's just do that again with these doors. It's actually harder picking the insertion point than it is just selecting it with the quad. And so yeah, so that fast and that easy, you could just, you know, change and modify using the quad. One thing also too I love about the quad, as you can see, you get these tooltips, so you can find out what's the layer things are on really fast. And I want to change the doors to that layer of that green door, so I could just do it really fast, just taking advantage of the quad. And once again, I'm not using any shortcut commands or any keyboard commands. I'm just taking advantage of the quad. Let me do this. Let me show you a different drawing and show you a really cool thing that I like a lot, and Don likes a lot. It's called clean screen. Now, I don't know if you notice. Can you notice, Vince, that all my toolbars, the ribbon went away? And I like to describe, I have the world's largest piece of paper here. And just using the clean screen, and I can zoom in here. And I'm going to take advantage of the quad. And with the quad, I'm just going to, you know, add a hatch to that. And of course, the hatch is too big, so let's double click onto it. Oops, it went onto my other screen. And let's just change the scaling of that. And as you can see, I just did. And then let's change, actually, let's match properties for this too. And just by taking advantage of the quad. So those simple, easy things I could do with the quad. And one thing with the quad, once you start getting into using the quad, you can customize this just like everything else inside of BricsCAD. And inside the quad, the customization settings, some things I recommend is like the delay time of when it pops up or when it goes away. You know, take a look at those. Icon size and a few other things to take a look at to customize it the way you like to work. And then also too, with the quad, for customizing it, the items itself. So these icons that show up, let me bring that up. So you can customize, like under edit. Say you don't like all these editing features, you can get rid of them or add in the ones you want. So customizing the quad to the way you like to work. So take advantage of it. The quad cursor, you know, it's a powerful tool inside of BricsCAD. Believe me, once you start using it, and Vince, I don't know about you, if I don't have it on now, I feel like, oh, where is it? You know, because I get used to those tools, and when I accidentally turn it off, it's like, oh, turn it back on. Where is it? Where is it? So I don't know if you have any comments about the quad.
Yeah, you know, I'm starting to use it more and more, and the fact that you can start putting some of those, like my little custom fillet commands, I could put those in there if I wanted as well. So I would encourage using it. If I can make an analogy, if I look at now the ribbon, I'm not a fan of the ribbon because I find myself hunting all the time. It's like that drawer you open and you're digging for the screwdriver to find it. So if the ribbon, and if I could put toolbars in Word and Excel, I would do it. but I can't. But to me, the ribbon is like a drawer with stuff in it, and the toolbars are like the pegboard where my stuff is all on the wall, and the quad is like a tool belt that you're carrying with you because it's right there.
I like that
Right?
tool belt. Yeah,
It's
I
a
like
tool
calling
belt.
it. Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
that's
definitely encourage you to try using it. The things that I'm seeing is, I'm so old school. I type in list to find out what the information is on an object, and you're just hovering. The thing with the quad cursor, you hover over, it tells you the color, it's by layer, what layer it's on. That stuff is just hovering right there. It's so
yeah, getting
convenient to
that
have that
instant
information.
feedback to me is really important. It's just like, oh, it visually, boom, I got my information and I just go. And that's called the rollover tooltips along with the quad and taking advantage of that stuff.
Yeah,
Well, hey, Vince, we're basically out of time.
that went
And
fast.
I know. Every time, every week it seems like we're going a little bit longer. But hey, folks, I just want to say, everybody, like us on Facebook and on YouTube, and then download the software, take advantage of it. We showed you some tips today about customizing the user interface. Take a look at that. Next week, actually, I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing a live broadcast from Belgium again with our colleagues over there to prep you guys for our conference that's happening in London the following week and everything. And so that's sort of our agenda for next week. But with that, Vince, if you could say goodbye with me, and folks, we'll see you
Don
all.
and Heidi get better soon, and we'll see
Yes.
them next week. I think they'll be in. They'll be
They'll be
in
there, yeah,
Belgium.
they're going to be both in back in Ghent, Belgium, yeah. So we'll have them live from there, and hopefully with a lot of other people too. So, okay, with that, we'll say goodbye.
Goodbye.